Good my name is Ron Falconi. I'm the host of Meet Your Neighbor. I live here in the city of Brunswick, which was recently named as one of the top 10 towns in America for families. I live here in Brunswick with my family in the Fairway subdivision of our great city. And I've been doing this now for almost 3 years. It's almost 3 years now. And I had this idea where we could invite different people in our community, and I wanted all of you to meet your neighbor. We have a great guest today. He is the pastor of the People's Baptist Church right here in Brunswick. His name is Mark Valenti. Pastor, welcome to the studios.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Hey, Pastor, can you tell us something about yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Depends on which time you have. People that know me know I can talk for a long time. Well, I'm from northeastern Ohio, actually from Cleveland, born and raised, 1958. Product of the Cleveland Public School Systems, went to Cleveland State University. But I've been involved in the Brunswick area, Brunswick community, since 1990. I moved down here, and like you, I love this city. I absolutely love it.
Okay. So you are originally from this area, from the Cleveland area?
Yes.
Okay. And I was wondering, how long have you been a pastor?
Well, I've been the main pastor of People's Baptist Church now. It will be going on 5 years. This March, coming March, it'll be 5 years. 5 years,
okay. How did you decide to become a man of the cloth?
Well, that's a great question. I guess for me and maybe a lot of other people that I have talked to is that you kind of always think you're going to be involved in ministry from a little kid. Uh-huh. When I grew up as a little kid, we went to church once in a while, and I actually went to a Catholic grade school, St. Mel's, on the west side of Cleveland, okay. And I just loved being around it. As I got older, like I said, I went to Cleveland State. I'm actually an accountant by trade. Okay. I went on with my life. And it wasn't until about 1990 when the Lord got my attention, okay, and said, you need to take me a little more seriously. And so I did. Okay. And at that time, I wanted to go to Bible college. I wanted to get a degree in it, only because in case if I ever felt the Lord was calling me to get into the pastorate, okay, I would be ready. I wouldn't have to, at that point, do anything. So I talked to my pastor at People's Baptist Church, and he agreed with that, so I enrolled. Okay. And when I graduated, got ordained in 1993 and went right into the ministry, and I was the associate pastor of People's Baptist Church since 1993 to 2005.
Could you elaborate on what kind of education you had to become a pastor and man of the cloth?
Sure. Well, in the Baptist circles, it's not necessary that you really go to a Bible college, okay, or a seminary. And some they require it, and some don't. Okay. I wanted to just be ready. I wanted to even to learn if I never was called to the ministry. And so we set up a program with 5 other guys that were interested in going. Okay. We had found in the area, in the Brunswick area and Medina area. And we contacted Orlando Baptist Bible College in Orlando, Florida. Okay. And they had a program where we could study up here and send all the test results and all that down to Orlando. Okay. And so that's how that happened. And it's a divinity degree. It's a 3-year degree. And majoring in Old Testament and New Testament studies was where I liked to. Wow.
How did you start this church here in Brunswick?
Well, it was started in 1957 by a group of 11 people. It was actually a Bible study in their homes. Okay. And it was actually a retired Christian Missionary Alliance pastor, a guy by the name of McDaniels, back in like 1956. He started he was retired, okay, and he would just his wife could tell him that you're bothering me. You need to do something. He goes, so he started a Bible study. Okay. Long story short, the people that were in his Bible study said, why don't we just have our own church? Sure. He said, I'll do that, but I only pastor it for a year because I retired from that. And they named the church People's Church, and he pastored it for a year. They rented a room in the Brunswick High School, okay, or Brunswick Middle School, I think it was Edwards. Okay. And 1957, around that time, they became a legitimate church, and they were looking for a main pastor, and they got a Pastor Goodwin. Mm-hmm. He came in, he was a Baptist. He said, you guys are Baptists, so they changed it to People's Baptist Church. Wonderful. And they've been in Brunswick ever since. Wow. So,
can you tell people why they should go to your church?
Well, I think, well, because we have the truth.
Okay.
I will say that. I will. You'll find at our church that we are a real people. Most people, from what I understand, don't like to go to church because a lot of people in the church are so-called hypocrites, and you can see that. But everybody's that way. Everybody's sinners. Everybody has their. But most people put on their Sunday best. Most Christians are this way on Sunday, this way during the week. We don't have our Sunday best. We have our weekly bad on Sunday morning. So we're very normal people on Sunday morning.
Okay.
We're the same people, and so you'll feel real comfortable there. Also, obviously we believe we have the truth. We can offer it to people in a loving way. So.
Great. Where's your church located, and when are the times for the services?
Well, right now we're located at the Brunswick Recreation Center.
Okay. We
share that facility on a Sunday morning.
Okay.
There's another church called The Plant that's there.
Yes.
They're a bigger church. We are a smaller church. We run anywhere from 10 to 20 people on a Sunday morning. We are in a room number 1, which is located, if you're familiar with the Brunswick Rec Center, we're located right across from the main bathrooms and the games that are there before you hit the gym. There's a little room there behind the kitchen. We have our main Bible study at 9:30.
Okay.
And that goes till 10:30. We take a 10-minute break, and then our main service goes from 9:45 to noon.
Okay. What do you think is your biggest accomplishment as pastor there at People's Baptist Church?
Well, we went through a heck of an ordeal about 6 years ago, 5 to 6 years ago.
Okay.
You'll probably remember, if you've been in Brunswick for quite a bit of time, the American Family Video store that's located on 303 in Hadcock, or what is now Maxwell, that corner. Well, there used to be a church there before that. Okay. That was our church, People's Baptist Church, that was there for years. There was a school. There was an ordeal that happened where many people left the church. The church sold that land, moved, and a lot of people left it. And some of us found ourselves out without a church.
Okay.
Well, we got together, a few of us, and decided, well, why go somewhere else? We still love each other. We still want to hang around with each other. Why? And they said, well, Mark, you were the associate pastor at the other one. You pastor the church. We'll get together again. And so that's how we ended up at the rec center. And I think my biggest accomplishment, really, it's nothing really, because the Lord deserves all the credit. I can't do nothing without the Lord. I think one of it is, if anything, just being there for people, being there for each other, and we survived. The love we had for Jesus Christ and the love we have for each other. It's an amazing thing to see. We're not a cult. We're not this cultish type. I don't want to give the wrong idea. We're normal people. We're Buckeye fans. We're Browns fans. We're not Steeler fans. Although we have a couple Steeler fans in the church. We do, and it's okay. But we're Indians fans, and we're people fish, and we have just a wonderful group of people that love each other, and we survive. I think we survived, and we're happy again.
That's wonderful. Pastor, you mentioned before that you are also an accountant. Can you tell us about that? What kind of education do you need to be an accountant? Well,
right now you need a 4-year degree.
Okay.
It really does help to become a CPA. I'm not a CPA. When I graduated in 1983, it wasn't that big of an ordeal as it is today. I would recommend you get it, only because of what I went through in my latter career, which is the first question they ask every accountant is, are you a CPA? And I'm sitting there going, no, I'm not. So I would really take the test just so I can avoid that question. I didn't want to practice public accounting.
Okay.
I really wanted to be a mathematician.
Okay.
But I didn't really have the money according to my counselors, my guidance counselors in high school, you've got 7, 8 more years of college. I'm a 18-year-old kid going, 7 more years of school. No, 4 is it. What can I do at 4? Well, you like math, going to accounting. Okay. And so I went into accounting, but I loved it. I really
loved crunching numbers and all that?
I love the numbers as a mathematician. And there's a little bit of law involved, so I like that. And of course, we do everything there. We tax law and all that. I would recommend 4 years, and I'd recommend getting your CPA. Now, I work for one of the most wonderful people you could ever work for, Debbie, the owner of Brunswick Tax Service. Fantastic. She would come up and
Yes.
probably say, don't get your CPA. But no, she is a CPA. And she's wonderful. And she has just wonderful practice there. It's just wonderful to work there.
Do you have family in the area? Where do you live?
Oh, yes. Well, I live in Brunswick.
Okay.
I've lived here, since 1999, and have been here on a regular, daily basis since 1990. And I just love it here. I cannot, this is a great city. I can't speak, highly enough for it. Man, I came in from the west side of Cleveland, and I grew, and I just love it here. My family was from here, actually.
Oh, okay.
The Valenti family, a lot of them. I have a cousin, Tom Valenti, who's in the area, cousin Candy Valenti, who was in the area. They've been in Brunswick for years. My Uncle Joe was one of the founding members of People's Church. Okay. And like I said, back in 1990, when the Lord got my attention, he was one of the guys that called me up and said, hey, why don't you come down to church here? Okay. And so I did. And so that's how I ended up in Brunswick, was because of my Uncle Joe and this church here, People's Baptist Church. And I just love it.
When you're not number crunching or attending to the needs as pastor of the People's Baptist Church, what are some of the things you like to do for fun?
Well, I used to play golf, and and I haven't played golf since 2004. But I like to read.
Okay.
Anything Mr.
in
Falconi,
particular?
I love to read the Bible and things related to it.
Sure.
But just reading in general too. In addition to that, I could read a sports page. I could read the editorial page. Anything. I love to read. I love doing this. To be honest with you, I love to have a cup of coffee and the Bible and talk, or what we're doing right now. This is one of the most favorite things I love doing.
Hey, can you tell everyone out in our audience out there, people who are watching in Brunswick or Brunswick Hills, maybe something about yourself that someone that a general person maybe would not know?
Would not know about myself?
Yeah.
Man, are you sure you want? You can't ask a pastor that one. Too many skeletons. No. I guess a lot of people don't know how much I like to play the drums.
Do you drum?
I just mess with them.
Oh, okay.
And that's why a lot of people don't know, because I've only had the opportunity to play a couple times with a couple bands. But
oh, okay.
No,
that's
I
nice.
really like to do that. My wife would kill me if I ever got a drum set, and so I like to do that. I guess I'm also, and they probably really know this, so it's not a fair answer to your question. I'd like to be a stand-up comedian. Oh. Bob Newhart was an accountant, and then he became a comedian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I want to, he's been my idol, and
great comedian.
Yes, and so, but I guess that's probably about it. As people that know me, I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve. Okay. So I'm kind of very transparent. I don't know how good that is. I like the fact that, I've paid a heavy price a lot of times. I'll speak my mind before thinking. Again, that goes against biblical advice. But I also like, one of the things I liked about you was not that, but that you came to visit my house.
Okay.
And you left a flyer on my door, which is the reason I called you. And I said I wanted to let you know I really appreciated that. And I've seen you on shows, in the different shows, and on console, and around here, and I've read a few of the things you had to say, and I really appreciate that. And
thank you for your kind words, sir.
Well, you're very welcome. I love people that do what you're doing, that are energetic and out there and want to do something and make a difference. And I love people that get out and visit, go door to door, and take this serious. And so that's why I called you. Not only do I agree with a lot of what you say, I also like your tactics and your energy and your motivation to be out there, and especially do a show like this, to meet your neighbor. So that's why I called you and said, thank you. I wish I was home when you came by. I would have loved to talk politics and learn a little more.
Hey, Pastor, for just about every guest I've had on the show, I always like to play a game of fill in the blank. Okay?
Sure.
When I was a child, I blank.
I was introverted. When I was a child, I played a lot with myself as a young kid. Lego blocks were my favorite toys.
I love Legos.
I stayed at home. I could build ships and towers, and my dad thought I was going to be an architect. So I was very introverted, and that changed when I got a little older.
The person or persons I admire most is or are?
Oh, man. Well, right now, I have a great well, obviously the Lord Jesus Christ and some people in the Scriptures. But outside of that, people I met in my lifetime, obviously my wife. I have a great admiration for her. She's one of the most intelligent persons I've ever met. But more than that, she has a very caring heart. She has helped me in the last 10 years through a very rough time in our life, and she's just a tremendous person. I also admire my Uncle Joe Valenti, who was in the People's Baptist Church for 40-some years, the same church. And what it takes to stay in one local church for that long takes one heck of a commitment. And I can see the challenges over the last 20 years that I've been at People's Baptist Church, and that commitment is phenomenal. So those are some of my heroes.
Okay. The one place I wanted to travel to, but I still haven't seen yet, is?
I would say Washington, D.C., our nation's capital.
D.C.
I've probably been in 38 of the 48 continental states. Okay. I haven't been to Alaska or Hawaii either. And I've been to Canada and Mexico. I've been to New York, Chicago, Toronto, L.A., San Francisco. I've never been to Washington, D.C. Oh. I've been close, Virginia Beach, Baltimore. I want to go there. So that's one place I'd like to see.
That's wonderful. Pastor, can you give any neighborly advice to people who are watching right now in Brunswick or Brunswick Hills?
Well, as a pastor of a church, I would recommend that you get yourself a Bible, read the New Testament over and over. If you have any questions, please come and visit us at the church. That would be that. And the reason I start with that, I would be amiss as a pastor to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ not to say that. But that said, the overlying reason is because of family values. Family is so important. Your spouse is so important. If you don't have a spouse, your immediate family, mom, dad, your children. I don't know if you happen to catch what happened on the Phillies game the other day where the father caught a foul ball. Have you heard about it? If the Philadelphia Phillies do not market what just happened because it's genuine, a father caught a foul ball. He's a Philly fan for years, I guess. Reached over to second deck, caught this foul ball, immediately turned to his 3-year-old daughter, handed it to her. She took the ball and threw it back on the field. From his testimony, it looked like she had a scared look on her face from the reaction of the crowd. His immediate reaction, and when she did that, was he went, "Oh, come here," and she jumped in his lap, and he hugged her and was smiling and just gave her a kiss and said, "It's okay." That's priceless. So if we can, as a community, Brunswick community, look, there's always going to be problems. There's always going to be decisions made by council, by mayors, by city managers, by neighbors that you don't agree with. Always. No one's ever going to agree on everything. But if we can all rise past that as neighbors and treat your neighbor, as you would have them treat you. Sure. This community can rise to new levels, I believe, if we can just get to that. That's advice by Jesus Christ, which I think is great advice, and I think we can do that as a whole. Maybe not all the time. We're going to fail, but just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and say, "I'm going to try again the next day." So.
Pastor, thanks for coming down to the studios today. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. It's been my pleasure and honor. So I thank you for having me. Oh.
Hey, my name is Ron Falconi. I am the host of Meet Your Neighbor. I just wanted to thank Pastor Valenti for coming down to the studios today. I doubt there's really anything more profound to be said, so I'll just say goodbye and arrivederci.